Stop filming. I'm not ready.
You're all dressed up. You're all dressed up for you.
Yeah, I'm all dressed up for my big, well, it's like you when you win the Olympics, you don't want to be in like your gym clothes, you know? Anyways. Good day. Yes, it's true. I'm the world's best mini motorways player. I don't know how that happened. Welcome to the channel, folks. I just had an insane game of mini motorways. I'm going to tell you all about it. Astronomical scores here. Scores that I once thought were impossible. In fact, scores I think many of you think are impossible. So I thought I'd make this video, show you that it actually did happen. I know I didn't cheat, although we'll get into some of the detail there. There is a bit of a hack, I guess you could say, with this game. I'll tell you all about it, give you all my pro tips, and hopefully I'll see you on the leaderboard beside me. Let's get into it. But first, me. Yes, this video is not sponsored, but I did want to take a moment to shamelessly promote my own game, Tipping Point. Here it is right here. Tipping Point's a board game. It's, as you can tell, a climate change board game, but don't be alarmed. This isn't your nimbity bimmity, grade school environmental game here. This is a serious game made by a serious gamer, okay? And anyways, this was a lot of fun to put together, this project here. I plan on making a whole series of videos about this game. So, like, subscribe so that you can stay tuned for those videos. But if you're into mini motorways like me, I'm sure you're actually going to love this game because it's got a lot of the same stuff going on, right? You've got this city that you're trying to build. It's getting ever bigger. You have to manage resources. You've got people, food, energy, carbon dioxide. Oh, by the way, carbon neutral. Check it out. No big deal. And anyways, support me. Click on the link in the description. Check out this game. Pass it along to friends or family that might be interested in this sort of thing. And yeah, every copy of Tipping Point that sells will make me money. Right, so mini motorways. Okay, so first of all, if you've never played mini motorways before, where have you been? Are you living under a rock or something? But anyways, it's still one of the most popular games in the world right now, right? Millions of people playing this on their phones and on their computers. What makes it so fun is it's that classic, every level gets harder style of game, right? So it's supposed to be unbeatable. You're always supposed to reach a limit where the game will just get too hard and you'll have to quit. And so that's why getting high scores is so fun in this sort of a game, right? So a quick synopsis of mini motorways though, right? You've got a city starts out with a house and a business, and you've got to connect the two with roads, right? And people will pop up, these little markers will pop up in the business. I guess they're like calling for an Uber or something, and the little car's got to get there, pick up that person, and get back to the house. And you've got to do so before the business fills up with people, at which point a little countdown timer starts. If you don't clear the business, it's game over, right? So anyways, it is a game that is designed to fail every time, right? It's not supposed to be a game that you can beat. When I first started playing this game, I was really happy to get a score of about 1,000 on the Los Angeles map. That's the default kind of level 1 map for the game. And eventually I picked up a few tricks. I get like 2,000 people, maybe even 3,000 points in a single game. The introduction of the roundabouts really helped things. I started getting crazy scores, like 5,000. And it was at this point in time that I thought I'd check the leaderboard just to see, how do I stand up in the world? And it was really quite shocking. I was like 100,000th in the world. There were some insane scores. Like people had posted scores of over 100,000. At the time that I started this video, the current high score was 251,000 and some change. Pretty insane, pretty hard to believe. And in fact, apparently I'm not the only one who felt this way. Lots of people on Reddit and online saying, hey, something's going on here, right? Like these scores shouldn't even be possible in this game. Anyways, I had sort of a theory for what was happening here with these high scores, and I just kept playing. And yesterday I was home. I was sick. You can probably still hear it in my voice. I was homesick. I had nothing to do. Couldn't go anywhere, of course, while I waited for my my COVID test to come back. And I just played Mini Motorways, and suddenly things just clicked. So I'm going to tell you all about my game and how I got there. And I hope with these tips, you too can eventually get to a point where you can get some of these crazy scores as well. So anyways, let's dive into it. Alrighty, so right off the bat, number one, the game doesn't get harder forever. Okay, so spoiler alert, it actually doesn't get harder forever. The game eventually reaches an end state. So that's where the map is fully zoomed out. No more houses and no more businesses will pop up on the screen. And most importantly, the number of people that show up in a given week stays the exact same. Okay, and this was really surprising to me, but of course it made sense. So if you can get to this rare end state of the game, and if everything's stable, then in theory the game can actually just run forever. And in fact, that's how these scores are possible, right? So the score I posted of 275,000 is wonderful. I could have just kept it going. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I just wanted my phone back because I started to get worried about the hardware crapping out on my phone, right? From just running all day. So, and actually, I'll come back to this, but it wasn't funny at the time. But funny in hindsight, there was a glitch which caused me to actually have to reset. So I ended up running this thing for about 8 hours straight on my phone. And no fails, obviously, the whole time. So very much reaches a stable equilibrium eventually. So yeah, that's how these scores are possible. If you didn't already know that, I'm sure most of you did. All right, so number two, let's get into actually how to construct a city that can survive till the end state, right? The number one important thing to keep in mind is that you should segregate the colors into different roads as much as humanly possible. Okay, so by this I mean like you should have roads that only red cars drive on, only blue cars, only yellow cars, and that sort of thing. This is strategy 101. Shouldn't be anything new to a seasoned player, but doing this is actually really hard because at the end of the game, random colors will just pop up around the map and you can't really control where they're going to show up. And so you will get sort of different colors on the same road. It will happen, but you have to try to control it as much as possible. This is going to alleviate so much congestion. Right, so number three, and related to separating out the colors, it's super important that each business has its own set of houses connected to it. Okay, so by that I mean like you don't want like all your reds connected together feeding all your red businesses. Okay, you want about 8 houses. Okay, depending, well, yeah, 8 is ideal. It could be 6. It kind of depends on how far the cars have to travel. But for me, a rule of thumb is I want 8 houses connected to each business. No more than that, okay? Once you start having more than 8, you're gonna have congestion problems, right? So you have to try to control the number of cars going into each business. You have to have enough to knock the counter down, but you can't have too many to cause congestion, right? So keeping the colors separate is vital, but also making sure that each business has its own individual set of houses so that you don't have, one red house from way in the bottom corner of the map traveling all the way to the other corner. That's going to massively screw things up. All right, so number 4 is the roundabouts. They're super important, okay? And you got to place those roundabouts early because the map's going to fill up. and you eventually won't have any ability to add roundabouts later in the game. So you got to set these roundabouts up. Now you'll eventually learn, if you play these maps long enough, that there are predictable pockets, right? So like, for example, in the top right-hand corner, there's always a pocket of red houses. Okay, well, if you're in the nighttime mode, they're yellow, but daytime mode, red houses in the top corner. And you know, likewise in the top left-hand corner, it's always a bunch of yellow houses. Okay, so what I like to do when I get my roundabouts is I just preemptively plop them in those neighborhoods. And roundabouts are super critical because, right, I mean, just like in real life, roundabouts are awesome. They allow you to take traffic from a whole bunch of different directions, and I use them to efficiently funnel all of my traffic, usually onto a motorway at that point, before sending them off to the business. So roundabouts are awesome. So next up, number 5, I think. Oh, I think it's number 5. Traffic lights are useless. Okay, I don't use traffic lights. I've seen some people have great success with traffic lights. I honestly, but they haven't scored like I have. Okay, so I think you should listen to me here and just completely axe traffic lights. I did end up putting one traffic light in my city here, and so you can see right by this purple business, there's kind of a bifurcation in the road network, and yeah, traffic light here. At least it didn't do any harm. I'm not even sure it was necessary, to be honest. I mean, once it was there, I didn't want to like mess anything up once the game seemed to be stable, so I just left it there. But that's the only traffic light I put in. All right, so now on to, I mean, the rest of these points here heavily rely on luck, okay? So let's talk about the businesses themselves. And some of the math that at least I assume is the math behind the game. I mean, I haven't seen the source code, so I don't know for sure. But it appears to me that the more businesses you have, that doesn't mean more people show up in a given week. It just means that those people allotted for that week are divided evenly into all the businesses that are there, okay? And it also seems, and again, this is just my sort of take on this, I could be wrong, but it also seems that if you have like 3 blue businesses, then the colors allotted for blue are subsequently divided into 3 from there. So what this means is if you just have, say, 1 blue business in your whole city, just 1, it will get overrun because it will eventually just have far too many people show up in a given week to clear. Whereas if you have 2 or hopefully 3, this divides it out and it makes it possible to reach this end game state. So if you look at my city here, I was pretty lucky. I got at least 2 of every color and mostly 3 of every color, right? So this helped divide those numbers evenly and kept it manageable right into the end. Right, so speaking of luck, the next point is all about the motorways themselves. Motorways are vital, right? And getting them early is super, super important. Now, in this particular game, I had never seen such a run of this. I basically had, after the first week, where you're never given the option for a motorway, every week after that, for the next 7 weeks in a row, I was given a motorway, right? And that just meant I had almost all my motorways, because you get 9 in total. So I had almost all my motorways by like a very early stage in the game. And that just made it really possible to start mapping out my various collections of houses, my neighborhoods. And yeah, it just, I mean, because otherwise, if you're putting roads down everywhere, as opposed to motorways, this covers the board up. And if you cover the board up too quickly, what happens is, well, first of all, things start spreading out more than you'd like them to, okay? And also, you could actually do some harm by having too many roads because not enough businesses will form. There just simply won't be space for them, so the game won't spawn new businesses. And like I said before, if you don't have enough businesses, then the number of people per business becomes too great, right? So the motorways allow you to have wide open space to allow the city to fully develop, which is super key. Okay, so the houses themselves, you got to get lucky here as well. you pretty much need all the houses. Okay, now not so if you look at my map here, I counted 8 houses that I ended up not using. So they kind of, they kind of glow that white color, right? So 8 out of the however many houses are here, like 100 or something, right? So it's pretty good. Like I've seen some maps where people let whole neighborhoods, they can't get used, and therefore you don't have enough cars to actually fulfill the requirements to end the game. And the last sort of stage for me, once I got to about 30,000 and the game was entering its sort of final stage, was really just paying really close attention to where the little dials were at on the businesses. Like if one started to creep too far into the red, what I would do is I would try to find 1 or 2 houses that I could tap into. And this meant keeping 1 or 2 motorways unused until this point in the game, right? And I had some, like you can see here, like I have some houses that, there's 2 houses here connected by 1 motorway, which at first I would have thought was like a waste of a motorway, but actually this is all that was required. I just needed 2 more houses, and then I had enough car production to keep the game in check. So I started doing some fine tuning, like up here in the blue neighborhood, I would swap this house to go on this road, or I'd swap it back depending on which blue business needed it. Eventually, I got to a point where I could actually literally walk away from this thing. Well, with the exception of every minute and 19 seconds coming back and pressing the 30 more roads button to advance the next week. Week 244. Yeah, your dad's gonna be the world's best mini motorways player. It's kind of a big deal. I started to become paranoid near the end about memory management issues. I noticed that the game stopped offering me bridges and roundabouts because presumably I had maxed out on those. And I thought, oh, if I had no idea if this is true or not, but if the game stopped offering me traffic lights too, like could that cause some sort of error, right? Because then they would have no choice but to offer me 30 roads and then 30 roads. And I didn't know if that would cause an error. So out of an abundance of caution, I just started selecting only 30 roads from then on in. Could just be paranoia, I don't know. And the rest is history. All right, so in the thumbnail, I said unbeatable. And, well, this is, I mean, essentially type 2 clickbait here, I guess you could say, just to get you interested in watching this video. Just for the record here, I fully expect someone to get a higher score than me on this, okay? But at this point, it's not really about skill, okay? It's just about who can wait the longest. And I just got impatient after 8 hours. I needed my phone back. So by the way, I mentioned this at the beginning, 8 hours, if you kind of do the math, that I should have a score somewhere up like 500,000, right? So funny story, halfway, or not halfway, but after setting the record, passing 250 million, I received an airdrop notification on my phone, and the whole thing just crashed. I guess it ran out of RAM or something, right? So the game didn't finish, and I wasn't able to post my high score. When I went back into Mini Motorways, the Apple Game Center had saved a snapshot of my game, but way back at 80,000. So I had to play the whole game over again, essentially the whole game over again, another 4 hours. So in my mind, like, this game had been running for 8 hours straight without any interruption at all. So the score is essentially infinite, right? Like, if you wanted to let that phone run for 10 years, then sure, you could have a score of 1 billion, provided that there's not going to be a memory overflow issue at some point. So I'm calling this unbeatable, an unbeatable city. Certainly the score could be topped if you just are, if you have more patience than I do. So let me know what you think of that. Is that fair? Am I being too cheeky? Yeah, well, I'm still calling myself best in the world, so. All right, so let's take a look at how this game ended, just so that I can get some proof of the game footage up here. And I just want to say thanks again so much for watching. Please check out my game, Tipping Point, okay? Check out the link in the description. If you want to see a video all about how you make your own games, okay? Everything from the design through to the manufacturing, licensing, and all that stuff. I want to make a series of videos all about just that. So please subscribe and hit like to this video just to show some support for my new channel here. And look forward to seeing you folks down the line. All right, so here we are. This is the end game here. Week 295. Let's do it. I'm calling it. I've been playing Mini Motorways for 8 hours. I'm homesick. I got a baby over there that needs me. Time to end this thing. I'm gonna let this thing get to 275,000. And then I'm going to purposely end the game. I know, sacrilegious. But I'm starting to get worried that there might be like a memory overflow issue. You can see the game kind of stutters here and then. So I want to lock in this score before everything crashes or my iPhone blows up. Just a few seconds away now. I bet a lot of you won't believe that this was possible. I was once like you, but I'm a changed man. The Mini Motorways champion of the world. Never thought I'd say anything like that. All right, we'll let this week go here. 30 more tiles, and I'm going to, let's see if I can film that. I'm just gonna go and, you ready for it? Bulldoze that road right there. That's all it's gonna take. That's all it's gonna take. Those cars will leave. Yeah, sorry for the sniffles. Got this cold, had the COVID test today. The nose swab, no fun. But a nice day to just be at home playing Mini Motorways. There we go, that dial's climbing up. And it's over. Let's see what happens. Oh, game over, thank goodness. 275,616, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let's get a screenshot of that. There it is. Save that. I'll just save image. All right, are we done? Did it log it? Exit to menu. Let's just check. I'm coming, baby, I'm coming. I just gotta check his high score. Play Los Angeles, high scores. Oh, crap. There's a bunch of people who got higher scores than me recently. Ah, son of a...